So here we are with Joe Teti, star of the Discovery Channel, dual survival, Force Recon Marine, Special Forces OGA. Thanks for being with us here talking tactical.
Yeah, man.
I first wanted to get to a picture I saw of you on a mule. I think it was a mule, and you're dressed up in Arab garb. I find that to be the most coolest picture out of all the pictures you have.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of story? I know you probably can't talk too much.
Yeah, all I can tell you is we used that infiltration technique a few times so we could get close to a target, and you know, it served us very, very well. And you know, you got to think out of the box, and that was thinking out of the box, and it worked. Yep.
Yeah, and you've been involved in planning a lot of missions, I'm sure, from what I've read.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you were probably involved in thinking outside the box, which also plays into survival. You
Sure.
gotta think outside the box.
Absolutely, yeah. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite things that I always enjoyed doing was being involved in the planning process of these missions, because you know, you're working with other guys that, you know, that are out of the box thinkers, and it's just amazing what you can come up with when you've got a think tank type of environment. And you know, some of this stuff's been quite ingenious, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you hear a lot of different. I mean, I'm sure you probably have 4 or 5 plans, you know, from the get-go at least.
Well, you just got to remember pace. You have your primary, your alternate, contingency, and emergency. You have to have 4. And you know, sometimes, and just like your infill, you have your primary infill, your alternate infill, your contingency infill, and your emergency infill. And same with your exfill. Everything's got plan A, plan B, plan C. So I love that. It's just the detail level of planning missions like that is incredible.
Yeah.
Your life's on the line, so I mean, you better freaking plan.
Yeah, you better plan before you go.
That's right.
Right, that plays into survival too. So, you know, you had an AK, at least in that picture. You run a 10-inch barreled AR, right?
Yeah, yeah.
LMT?
I had H&K 416s.
Okay.
10-inch upper. You know, whatever optic an operator wanted to use. I mean, I had everything from Eotech to an Aimpoint to a ACOG to a Beret Extreme Tactical. Let me see what else I have. I had an Aimpoint Micro, and just you know, it just depends on what you wanted to use. And
was that pretty open?
I'm sorry?
Was that pretty open? I mean, to whatever.
Yeah, operator preference. Yeah, and most guys had you know 2 or 3 different optics depending. Obviously, if you're doing urban stuff, you're not going to have a Trigicon 3-power scope on your gun.
Right.
You know, but if you're working out in the desert, normally I carried a 203 along with my M4 an attachment, and then I had a Trigicon on it or my Burst Extreme Tactical, because you're going to be taking longer shots.
Right.
But in an urban environment, you know, a lot of guys just run the Eotech, which are also compatible with NVGs. Or, you know, just a basic aim point or a micro aim point. And of course you have your light, and I had a light laser combo on mine. I had a PEQ2 and a suppressor.
Yeah, I mean, that's as far as people stateside, you know, as far as, you know, either personal defense or whatever people are thinking, zombie apocalypse, whatever, you know.
Right.
I think the minimum you need is like a flashlight. I think the flashlight's the first thing you should probably put on a gun. Red dot, something like that. Afterwards.
Do 2 things for a gun is some kind of red dot sight and a light, and you're exactly right. Without a light, you can't do crap at night unless you have NVGs and a PAQ2, and most people don't have those. So a light laser combo, which is great, and there's plenty of them out there, and Surefire makes a lot of good products. I've got Surefires, I think, on almost all of my guns, including my pistols. Let me just think right now. Yeah, they're pretty much all Surefire products. The M3 is a great light. They've replaced that since then, but I've had mine on my guns for years, and they're still working, so I'm not going to change. But yeah, man, light and some kind of sight, you know. But and I'll tell you this. Here's another thing I'll tell people. It's great to have good optics, but you've got to know how to use your iron sights.
And that's why I have my AK here, and you know, I run the micro, which I like on the AK because I use an Ultimac scout rail on my AK.
Yeah, yep.
And the reason I do that is because if that red dot goes out, which being an aim point, you got to really try to make that thing not work. I mean, it takes years for it to go dead. You know, I can at least co-witness and use that still. I can still use my iron sights with that on there.
Correct, exactly right, man. The one thing about the AK, we were actually using Eotechs on them, and we had them mounted on a rail system in the front, and quite frankly, the barrels under sustained fire got so hot it would turn them off.
Wow.
So putting an Eotech on an AK, you might want to think about that, especially if you're doing sustained fire. You know, get something that raises it a little bit off the barrel, like an Aimpoint. That's a great optic, and you've got the distance in between the barrel. But we found that out the hard way, so we switched over, and we just had mil spec Aimpoints on them.
Okay.
Yep.
And I mean, I know people, and we've talked about this before about, you know, people want to have everything on their gun, including a cappuccino maker. You know, they want to make, you know, put, you know, this on the gun and this side and that side, and, you know, what are your thoughts on?
Here's my thoughts. You know, you're going to turn a 6.5 pound gun into a 10.5 pound gun, and you're also going to unbalance it. Like, I never ran a ready mag on mine. I know some guys have. I just didn't like the way it felt. And quite frankly, I could load a mag in just as quick without a ready mag. You know, and again, you slap a suppressor on the thing, a PQ2, and a light, and an optic. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, I've seen these crazy looking sights. As a matter of fact, I saw one at the gun show today. I mean, it was an aim point with a light on the side of it, with an owl on this side. It was 3 things in one. And you had to turn your gun to see each. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just that it doesn't make any sense. You know, you literally would have to turn your gun this way to see one, turn it this way to see the other. It's just, you know, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. I mean, and that gets me to...
sight for the environment you're working in, you know?
Right. Now that gets me to the question, like, pretty versus purposeful. You know,
sure.
Do you find most stuff on the market to be purposeful, or do you find it to be just...
Man, it's so funny we're having this conversation, because I just had this conversation with a friend of mine. Everybody is trying to invent a new mousetrap, you know, and the bottom line is this. If you, like when I went through all my CQB training in Special Forces, I used a basic aim point, you know. They didn't have the Eotech, so I am most comfortable and shoot best with a basic aim point. That's why I shot hundreds of thousands of rounds through my M4. So what I would tell you, and I tell this to people that they have, I've got 20 pistols, I've got 10 M4s, and like, can you shoot one well?
Yeah.
And invariably the answer is no. Pick one good pistol, one good M4, one good shotgun, you know, one good long gun, and be good at shooting them.
Yeah, make it work.
You know? Exactly, because the bottom line is, unless you live on a range and you can take out your 20 pistols and shoot each one, shoot 200-300 rounds to each one, when the crap hits the fan, you better pick the one you can shoot the best.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that gets me to the point where, you know, I was out at the range with my dad a couple weeks ago, and you always hear people say this, because I mean, my cousin owns a gun shop. I'm in there. It's tactically kind of geared. Sure. And, you know, you always hear people say, well, my gun does this, or my gun shoots like this, or shoots this way or that way. But if you just put the gun on, you know, a bench rest and just shoot it, it's going to shoot straight. It's
Bro,
whatever you're doing to put into the gun.
Look, I can tell you right now, my M4 that I shoot, my LMT, it's a Lewis machine tool, awesome M4, monolithic rail system. You cannot shoot as good as the gun is made. It's impossible. Same with a good quality 45. You know, a good quality 45 from a bench rest can shoot 3-inch groups at 50 yards. Nobody can shoot that good.
Right.
So, 99% of the time, it's operator error. They're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple.
Yeah. I just made a video. I was at the range yesterday, and I made a video on just, first shot placement from unholstering,
Sure.
And I was noticing that my thumb support was weak. I wasn't, so my gun was shooting down and low to the left.
Sure.
So, you have to go to I'm sure you agree, you have to go train to keep yourself up to date, so to speak, or you're kind of doing yourself a disservice.
I do a lot of dry firing, and I know this may sound really crazy, but I learned this from a guy who I admired and was a phenomenal shot. He's like, get in front of your TV, obviously clear your weapon, make it safe, and start doing drills like from the holster, and you watch TV and you say to yourself, okay, the next male that's over 25 years old, I'm going to draw and present the weapon at the TV. And what that's doing is it's working your OTA loop, it's working through your color code of awareness, and you can do it right there in your house. And I would do that for about an hour. And I'll tell you what, I have literally taken my draw time from a tactical holster, leg holster, under a second.
So you're talking like a Kydex kind of thing?
I can get around at 7 meters exactly. Now, with a retaining device as well. Like I use a Safari Land.
Okay.
So just that has gotten me to sub 1 second draw at 7 meters.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, it's all from sitting here and working on my OTA loop. So when you hear the buzzer, boom, you're immediately reacting. And that's stuff you can train yourself on.
Yeah.
And you've got to dry fire. Dry fire is, dude, that's where guys like Jerry Barnhart, I've trained with Jerry Barnhart, 10-time world IPSC shooting champion. Trained with that guy for 2 weeks down in Titusville, Florida. And he said the same thing, man. Bread and butter is dry firing.
And the great part about it, it's free.
Yeah, it's free. You can do it right in your house. Just be safe about it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, clear the weapon.
And there's a lot of gadgets out there right now. They have this. I think it's called a red gun. That's made by a company like Shock Knife or Shotgun. Anyway, it looks just like a Glock, and you squeeze the trigger, and it shoots a laser out, and you can actually shoot at targets in your house. And it's extremely accurate. The name of it escapes me right now, but I've seen them before, and fits in a regular holster, triggers just like, weighs the same, magazine changes. Again, it's all what your pocketbook can afford, but that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer right there.
Yeah. So are you a 2-point or 1-point sling kind of guy, and what's your thoughts on either?
Yeah, man, both. For if I was on a patrol, we're actually patrolling, I like a 2-point sling. Just a regular jungle sling, I know it sounds kind of lame, but for patrolling, I like it the way it just hangs. But doing CQB, urban, I basically have, matter of fact, I even think I have my holster right here. Or not my holster, my sling. Hold on 1 second. I was just using it. Thought I had it. So I just got back from shooting, but it's basically a very simple sling. Goes over the shoulder. It's got two, and I'm sure you've seen them. 2 bungee cord pieces that come together. That's it, man. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like the slings that have the adjustable, pieces on it and the fast tacks. That stuff comes off invariably at the worst freaking time.
Really?
You bump it. You're going through a door. Now your gun's on the floor or it's hanging off of you. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I like it very simple.
So you like static stuff, not anything really dynamic.
I don't like anything that clips onto my kit. Anything you can clip on can be clipped off.
Right.
And your gun's the last thing you want to be falling away from you. If you're fast. Matter of fact, I have seen this happen before. Dude was fast roping. We were fast roping. I got off the rope. He came down. There was a guy below him. His gun came off because he had it attached to his vest with the fast tack, and he somehow just hit it, and off it came, man. And almost the guy below him. Yeah.
Was that actually during something like a mission, or was that training?
Yeah, it was just training.
Okay.
Yep.
So have you ever been injured in combat?
Man, knock on wood. My injuries are stitches, resulting in my own stupidity, actually. I got hit with a ricochet one time, and it wasn't even the round, it was just the casing. It skipped underneath the Humvee and hit me in the shin, and I really didn't even know what it was. I thought it was actually a rock hitting me, and come to find out about an hour later, I looked down, I had a little bit of blood on my pants. I'm like, what the hell is that from? And I looked, and there was, a small hole, and I'm like, and I took it out with a pair of tweezers. But man, I've been very, very lucky. I don't know what to say, but I thank God. I've actually, to be honest with you, I've been hurt worse in training by far.
Not really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got ran over. My worst injury, I got ran over right behind the Buds compound. We did a double duck. We jumped in on Point Loma, put two boats out. We jumped out at about 1,500 feet into the ocean, two boats. Not bad sea state, but it was a little sketchy. We were coming in. The coxswain wasn't paying attention. We got in front of a wave. It flipped us over, and he didn't have the kill switch attached to the engine. Threw us all in the water. And the Zodiac actually tumbled and righted itself, and it landed on top of me, and the engine was still running, and it cut my arm from here to here. I had 108 stitches.
Wow.
I could have easily lost my arm.
Has it affected you at all?
I'm sorry?
Has it affected you at all? In what your range of motion or anything?
How it affects you is like, put the freaking kill switch in the damn engine. It makes you think about the shit you should have done. But the coxswain just wasn't paying attention, and I ended up paying the price for it. But I've been hurt jumping. I was on a halo jump one night, and we were jumping combat equipment O2, very low loom, didn't have NVGs on. We were jumping into a small drop zone, and it was surrounded by pine trees, and not very high pine trees. They were only about maybe 5 or 6 foot tall. And bad spot, and a lot of guys didn't even make it to the drop zone. I ended up landing in a Walmart parking lot.
What?
And it was about, say, 3 o'clock in the morning, and just, I didn't flare right. I was trying to find an out. I'm like, man, this is the only place I could land, and I was worried about the lights, and it was a real mess, but I ended up hitting feet, knees, face, and rolling. But I dislocated my thumb on that. I think I had something else. I think I hurt my collarbone or something. But, it happens. Here's my attack cat. Hold on a second. Come here, you. You handsome kitty.
Is that your tactical attack cat?
Yeah, Jake. But yeah, man, here's the way I look at training, and I hope people would agree with me, depending on what you do for a living. You have got to train like you're going to fight. So if you're, where I came from, if you're going to infill and you're going to say, we're going to halo in at night, combat equipment into a drop zone the size of a basketball court, you better train jumping into a basketball-sized drop zone.
At
and
night,
if you
full
pull it
gear.
off in training, what makes you think you're going to pull it off when you're doing it for real?
Right.
So one thing I'll tell you about special operations, I don't think there's a guy I know that'll tell you that, they haven't been hurt in training. It's just part of the business. Guys have been killed doing CQB, and, it's just a sad fact. You've got to, matter of fact, when I was in Second Force, if people are not getting hurt in training, you're not training hard enough.
Right. So
that was his philosophy.
Right.
Can't say that I don't agree.
Yeah, if you're not trying, then when the situation presents itself,
correct,
you're not going to be ready. It's
you can't notionalize anything, and that's one thing about when you're in the upper echelons of special operations. Because of the funding, you've got big budgets. They're not going to notionalize anything. You're going to do it for real and see if it works. That's one of the benefits of being in those kind of units. They've got deep, deep pockets.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So let's get to, favorite gear. Like what kind of boots do you wear? I know you know.
Asolo, ASOLO are the boots that I wear. I wore them in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've worn them on dual survival. I wear them every day. I wear them to the gym. Phenomenal boots. They're pricey, but again, you pay for what you get, and it's something. Boots are not something I skimp on. My favorite pistol is a Glock 17C, and I carried a Glock 17 over in Afghanistan and Iraq with the government CT unit I was in. And I really didn't like Glocks when I first started shooting them, but I love them now. Matter of fact, that's my preferred carry gun. And M4 would be an LMT, Lewis machine tool, or Rock River. Rock River makes a really good product. Colt. I've got a Colt M4 that probably shot, good Lord, I don't know, 200,000 rounds through, and it's still ticking. As far as like jackets and gear, I love North Face stuff. I love Columbia stuff, optics. I've got optics ranging from micro Aimpoint, Eotech, ACOG, your regular Aimpoint, Burst Extreme Tactical. I will tell you, there's copies of all these out there. You can buy copies of them, and I know people that have them. One of my best friends has got one on his M4, and he's had on there for years, and it's been working great. And that's the difference between paying $200 and $2,200 for a Burst Extreme Tactical.
Right.
So it just depends on what you can afford. Ammo, I can tell you this, that's a biggie that people don't talk about a lot. There's a company out there right now called Liberty Ammo, and they have ammunition that is absolutely the most devastating rounds I've ever seen in my life. They're 9 mil, the damage that thing does, it looks like a freaking shotgun blast, and I'm not kidding. It disintegrates, and their rounds are very proprietary, but I can tell you, people should look into it. Liberty Ammunition, they've got ammo for law enforcement and military, and they got civilian, but it's really, really good stuff.
I'll have to look into that. I run the Winchester.
Like kitty ammo.
Yeah, I run the Winchester Ranger T series for everyday carry.
Yep.
I'll have to take a look at them.
I shoot PMC for everyday, just practicing. But Liberty, they don't make like practice ammo. All their stuff is real world. So I'll practice with just basic ball ammo, but I'll also run through just to make sure everything feeds right. A magazine or two every time I go out, just to keep my gun, keeping her feeling happy, knowing this is the stuff I'm going to use. And but yeah, Liberty ammos, dude. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, man, it's a man stopper.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up when you brought that up about the people have to actually. I know it hurts the pocketbook, but you got to take the ammo you're gonna run. If you conceal carry, open carry, whatever you do, you got to run that stuff and make sure it goes through your gun.
Dude, you have to. I can tell you, I had I'm not gonna say the brand name, but I had a 45 one time, and this thing was so finicky. With the ammo, I thought it was the magazines. I'm like, all right, I used Chip McCormick, and then I was using Colt, and then I was using. I went through every magazine you could possibly use, and it wasn't the magazine. It was the ammo, and I polished the feed ramp and everything. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? So that would have been a perfect example of I think I paid $1,500 for the pistol, where it would have been a $1,500 hammer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would tell people, if you're going to use a weapon, I don't care what kind of gun it is, for protection, you had better shoot the ammo that you have in that gun that you carry. You had better shoot rounds through that thing, at least a magazine every so often, just to make sure, because you don't want to. I tell you right now, the loudest noise I've ever heard was a click.
Right.
When I thought I'd hear a bang.
Exactly. You hear that a lot.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I mean, I know it hurts the pocketbook, but,
you don't need to shoot 50 rounds. Just shoot a mag.
Right.
One magazine. and just it's a confidence thing, man. You know what I mean? And especially if you're shooting some really wazoo hollow points, you don't have to really worry about full metal jacket rounds. But if you're shooting some, depending on the way the tips of the hollow points are, some of them have a very strange jacketing at the end. And if you haven't deburred your feed ramp, it could just get caught on it. Now you got a stovepipe or a double feed or whatever, and you're in a world of shit.
Yeah, and that gets to practice. Me talking about practice as well and training. I mean, when that happens, you go to the gun range and you see someone have a jam, and all of a sudden you see 5 people go over there and they're looking at it and trying to figure out what happened. When in reality, you got to train for that. You have to get through. I mean, say it's a real life situation. You have to train for the fact of how to clear that damn jam and get back on target.
That's right. And depending on what kind of malfunction you have, whether you have a stovepipe or a double feed or whatever, depending on what kind of malfunction you have, you're either going to have to take the magazine out, rock the slide, put it back in, or just like a stovepipe, you're just going to swipe it off the top and go back to work. But yeah, man, you better practice that stuff.
Yeah.
Hope you won't ever have to do it, but you don't want to be going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah, you're done.
So I wanted to get into standard marksmanship versus active marksmanship. This is something I talk about. You have to. People say, "Oh, well, like say combat marksmanship. You're moving around, you're finding cover and such." And then you have your standard marksmanship. I mean, what are your thoughts on people who are just getting in the guns, or maybe getting a concealed carry, wanting to carry their gun? I mean, you should get marksmanship down before you start moving on to clearing a house.
Dude, here's the bottom line when it comes to training with a pistol. It's all about confidence. Confidence with the gun. Confidence with your abilities. And the only way you can do that is to train in the crawl, walk, run. And I will tell this, I don't care who's listening to this, listen to what I'm about to tell you. There is no such thing as advanced pistol craft. There's none. There are the 7 fundamentals, period. Here's what separates the rock stars from the groupies. If you can do all the 7 fundamentals under stress, there's no secret to pistol shooting. Delta, SEAL Team 6, where I came from, they don't show you, hey, check out this trick for... There's no such thing. Side alignment, side pitcher, grip stance, breathing, follow through, trigger press. That's it. Under stress.
Right.
That's the kick.
So what's your thoughts on how to induce that stress when someone's training?
Sure, man.
Running around?
There's a lot of ways. Get your heart rate up. So if you want to run up and down the range, or not up and down where people are shooting, obviously, but if you want to run down a road and back up, that works real well. Do push-ups. Anything you can do to get your breathing up. One thing that I do with my students is I'll bring a bucket of water out with ice in it, and I'll have them put their hands in the ice water for 2 minutes, because what that does is it numbs their hands up, because in a real gunfight, you're going to have all your blood pool from your extremities to your vital organs, and your hands are going to actually feel like you've got gloves on or something. It's a very odd feeling, but that is one way to simulate it. So the whole idea is to elevate your heart rate, elevate your breathing, and the only way you can do this is by exercise, So doing that is a very good way. And don't do it and then wait 5 minutes. Immediately pick up your gun and shoot. Don't wait 30 seconds. Do it, holster, boom, 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 and start shooting. And you'll see where you're at, And I'll tell you this, too, and I did it with my friends. We would stand near the targets. And I'm not telling anybody to do this. Let me say that one more time. I am not telling you to do this. What I'm telling you is when you get to a certain level, your confidence will let you shoot with people close to the targets. You will see how much slower you will actually shoot when there's actually live bodies next to it. You're not going to go boom, 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 boom. You're going to be boom, boom, boom. You're going to be more focused. So that is the reality of combat shooting when you have a target and somebody's standing right next to it.
Right.
But yeah, man, 7 fundamentals. That's it.
Do those 7 and you're golden.
That's it. 7 fundamentals. Jerry Barnhart told me one day, I said, Jerry, what is it about competition shooters and guys at your level of the game? How are you able to be consistently winning all the time? And he said it eloquently. He says, we are able to do all of the 7 fundamentals on each and every shot. Not 4 of them, not 5 of them, all 7.
Right.
Sounds easy. It is not.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
It is not, dude.
So you did actually bring up your school. Do you want to talk a little about your school? I'm going to put the link down below because you actually have training that you provide and teach.
Yeah. Yeah, the name of my company is called Lone Operator. www.loneoperators.com. And I have several courses. I have 11 courses. I have a basic rifle, an advanced rifle, basic pistol, advanced pistol. I have a tactical tracking course, a surveillance course, an NTAC course, a go-bag course, and land navigation course. And I call it the Warrior's Edge Survival Series. And the reason I call it that is once you've gone through all of those courses, you know, you're pretty much covered all the bases, man. For someone that, and I'm not talking military. Yes, I will train military, but my focus is on civilians. There are so many places that the military can go to, quite frankly. I wanted to bring my skills to the average civilian guy or girl that wants to learn how to either use a pistol or, hey, you know, I travel overseas a lot. How do I become situationally aware? What hotels do I check into? Why? You know, how do I get a cab? Where do I go? Where don't I go? All of this stuff. Because, quite frankly, 95% of the training companies out there cater to law enforcement and military. That's it. You can't even get in their courses unless you're law enforcement or military. I am kind of good. The money is with military and law enforcement, but you know what? I feel it's my duty to be able to share what I've learned with honest, law-abiding American citizens. And, you know, one of my courses, I have a apprehension avoidance course that teaches you how to get out of handcuffs, flex cuffs, tape, rope, in case you're ever captured or taken hostage. That course, you have to show up with a police report of your own, so I know that you're not, you know,
criminals.
I don't want to be training.
Right.
But that's my passion, man. If I had my dream job, it would be to own a large training facility, like a Blackwater, and train people. That's my dream. I love training. I train every day. I'm at the gym every day. I'm at the range 2-3 days a week. I'm either shooting my long gun, my M4, my pistol, or a little of both. And I just love it, man. It's you know, Sun Tzu, who wrote the Art of War, said, "Be a student of war." A student. So you'll never hear the word expert come out of my mouth.
Right.
I am not an expert at anything. I am a perpetual student.